When you hear the name Deep Purple, what's the first song that comes to mind? Probably Smoke on the Water, maybe Highway Star, or if you're a hardcore fan, Child in Time. But buried in their early years is a haunting ballad called Anthem, a song so powerful yet so overlooked that most fans of the band have never even heard it. Today, we're diving into why Anthem might be one of Deep Purple's most underrated tracks. In 1968, Deep Purple wasn't the heavy rock powerhouse we know today. This was the Mark I lineup: Rod Evans on vocals, Nick Simper on bass, Ritchie Blackmore on guitar, Jon Lord on organ, and Ian Pace on drums. At this time, the band was experimenting, blending psychedelic rock, classical influences, and hints of progressive music. Their second album, The Book of Taliesyn, was rushed out just months after their debut. The label wanted to cash in on their first hit, Hush, and right on the very first day of recording that album, they captured something unique, a song that wasn't about power riffs or virtuoso solos, but about longing, memory, and absence. That song was Anthem. From the opening notes, Anthem feels different. Rod Evans' vocals aren't shouting, they're whispering, almost confessing. The lyrics talk about shadows in a whispering room, the night wind softly blowing, and reaching out for someone who's no longer there. It's not a typical love song. It's more like a poetic meditation on memory and loss. You can feel the weight of absence in every line. Musically, this was Jon Lord's territory. He composed a baroque-style orchestral passage in the middle with real strings weaving through Blackmore's guitar and his Hammond organ. The effect is stunning. It sounds closer to a Bach fugue than a rock ballad. This wasn't Deep Purple trying to make a hit. This was Deep Purple proving they could fuse rock with classical music at a time when almost no one else was daring to try it. So why don't more people talk about Anthem? One reason is timing. A year later, Deep Purple's lineup changed. Rod Evans and Nick Simper were out, replaced by Ian Gillan and Roger Glover. That Mark II lineup became legendary, giving us Smoke on the Water and Highway Star. Rod Evans' softer crooner-style voice didn't match the heavier direction the band was heading toward, which meant songs like Anthem didn't carry forward into their live sets. In fact, the band never performed it live at all. The orchestral arrangement made it almost impossible on stage. And so, despite its beauty, Anthem was buried, overshadowed by the massive riffs and arena anthems that came later. Even Deep Purple themselves rarely acknowledged it. For many casual fans, it doesn't even exist. But here's the thing. Anthem reveals a side of Deep Purple that often gets ignored. We think of them as the godfathers of hard rock and heavy metal, but Anthem shows their sensitivity, their willingness to experiment, and their ability to blend rock with classical textures in a way that even bands like Yes and Genesis would later become famous for. When you listen to Anthem today, it feels almost timeless. It doesn't sound locked in 1968. It sounds like a forgotten chapter of prog rock, a bridge between psychedelic ballads and the progressive epics that would dominate the 1970s. So yes, Deep Purple will always be remembered for their riffs, their solos, their sheer volume. But hidden away on the Book of Taliesyn is a song that deserves so much more recognition. Anthem isn't just a ballad, it's a haunting piece of art that captures the band's ambition, their vulnerability, and their vision, before the world truly knew what Deep Purple would become. If you've never heard it before, I highly recommend giving it a listen with fresh ears, because sometimes the most underrated songs are the ones that show us a band's true depth. What about you? Do you think Anthem deserves more love? And what's your favorite underrated Deep Purple track? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to dig into more hidden gems like this one.